All right, so today we have something a little different. I wanted to show you guys, if you're thinking about playing on Hitbox, some of the stuff that you're going to have to get used to. And most of this stuff can, it doesn't take very long to get used to. All right, so today we have something a little bit different. I wanted to show you guys what it's like to switch to Hitbox and to show you some stuff that you might encounter, right? Some problems that you might encounter and some things that you're going to have to get used to. So I know that the Hitbox, my hand cam here is upside down, so I have the one on the screen there as well as the, the in-game stick there on the left. So you can see exactly what I'm inputting with my hands. You can see what the computer's reading, and then you can see what the game is reading. So the first thing and the most common thing that I hear is that, you're not going to be used to using your ring finger, this finger here, as much as you're going to have to, right? And it's mostly on this side. It's mostly on player 2 side. When you're like trying to DP with your ring finger instead of, maybe your pointer, your index, more dominant finger, you're going to have to like build up, finger strength might be the word, or just like repetitive motion and being ready to use that that part of your hand a little more than you're used to. I think people who play instruments, like who play piano or something like that, might have a little bit of an easier time because you're used to using more of your fingers and you'll probably have a little bit more finger dexterity, as well as people who play on keyboard a lot. That's why I play on the Hitbox, and I always have, is that I played like a lot of PC games before I played fighting games, so I'm used to playing on a keyboard over playing on a joystick. So a little bit more on that with your ring finger is some things you're going to have to get used to is just using it to quarter circle more, right? And this comes over time. Yeah, this is the biggest thing, right? Everybody who switches to Hitbox that I've talked to has felt this to some extent, right? Some more than others, but just getting used to using your ring finger a little bit more and having a little bit more dexterity in that part of your hand. You have to get used to doing like double quarter circle forward like that. You'll have to get used to just doing normal quarter circle forward and just moving around with it a little bit more. One other thing you're going to have to get used to is the jump button being down here, right? So if you've never played Hitbox, go ahead and take a look at the middle one right there where you see the buttons glowing. This is left, this is right, this is down, and this is up. So it's sort of just like your keyboard, right? It's like WASD, and then this is your space bar. While pretty much everything on this side is however you want to map it, or however it's mapped on your normal stick. Another thing that can be pretty rough is getting used to dashing, right? This game has the dash macro, so it's not too bad. But if you're not used to like double tapping like this, you have to double tap, to go forward and back and, air dash, things like that. Also instant air dash, if you want to take a look right now. Up, forward, and forward, right? That wasn't instant, but that's the input, right? Like that. You do up, forward, forward, and it's pretty much comes out every time. Now, you guys probably know there are some shortcuts to doing like DP and stuff on here. I don't know if they work on this game because I don't really use them at all on Street Fighter either. But the way that Street Fighter V's leniency, like input leniency works, there are a lot of shortcuts. So if you're getting this device to use on Street Fighter and your character has a DP, some of them are pretty useful to know. There's some that you can do like DP from crouching instantly or walk forward DP. I don't think it works in this game just because the input leniency is a little different. But if you're playing Street Fighter or some game like that has that same input leniency, definitely check out those shortcuts. They're all over YouTube and stuff. Another thing I want to clear up is that this device is not just for charge characters, right? I know a lot of people who switch to and play charge characters, but that's like a benefit, right? It's very good with charge characters, but I personally don't like playing charge characters, so I play only motion characters on it, and I still have a great time, and it's still very effective for me. If you think that the Hitbox is like cheating and that's why you want to switch to it to like get an advantage, I just don't think that it's a good purchase for you. It is very good with charge characters, and it does let you do things a lot easier on charge characters than on a stick, but it does have its downsides, and it is, in my opinion, it's pretty much just a PlayStation controller like laid out, or like a keyboard, right? You can do the same thing that you do on here on a keyboard. So if your main, drawing point to this is you want a little bit of an advantage, just play on a keyboard is the best advice I can give you. Also, if you want to switch to it and you don't want to pay the money yet, also try it on a keyboard, right? The keyboard's not just for cheating. I didn't mean to say it like that. Because you can essentially just lay this out the same way, right? You can put left on A, you can put down on S, and then right on D, and then make this your spacebar, and then set these 8 buttons to whatever you want it to be. Let me show you a few more things execution-wise that can be kind of tricky when you're switching over. We talked about, you know, the DP on this side, the quarter circles on this side. But the one thing that I have an issue with on this side that isn't a problem on this side is the super input in this game, which is half circle back and then forward, right? So sometimes if I'm doing it really fast, you'll see I miss that back input because this finger, my ring finger, doesn't press this button hard enough, so it doesn't register. So I'm doing like that, right? I'm almost doing like a DP input somehow. Or I'm getting half circle back and then I'm doing forward and this back input is not coming out. So that's something I have an issue with when I'm rushing, right? See, I just did it again right there. But on the other side, it's not as big of a problem because I'm used to rolling from my, you know, smaller finger to my more dominant one. And then pressing the forward input again. This was like my main thing for why I wanted to make this video, is because I keep having trouble getting this out in game. You know, on that side, on player one side. That's why I think there's kind of a drawback to the hitbox playing, not even just motion characters. It's other things too. Like whenever you get crossed up, you have to, you know, consciously switch your block like this, right? You have to switch. On the stick, you also have to do it, but you can kind of like roll to the other side. This one, you have to lift your finger and do it, right? Which is kind of easier for some people, but can also be a little bit harder if you're used to playing on stick and just rolling to one side. Also, things like jiggling, you know, which I believe is like whenever people are jiggling the joystick, right, to see whether they want to DP or like charge or do something else. If you jiggle on here, you have to do something like this, right? You're pressing left and right because there's not like a sensitivity to it. On the joystick, you can go a little bit left or a little bit right to like micro walk, but on this, you have to like tap to micro walk. So to jiggle, you would have to just sort of do this, and you're pressing left and right instead of like making tiny movements. That's another thing too. Micro walking on this, you can do it. You just tap like this. You can tap like that too, and that's not too hard. Something personally that I think is easier on the hitbox is like aerial movement, right? So I think that doing super jumps like this is a lot easier because all you have to do is press down and up, right? On the stick, you have to go like, you have to pull down and then go up, or like pull down a little bit and then go up. On here, you don't have to worry about that like sensitivity. You can just press the buttons, and I think that makes it a little bit easier. Also, like jump canceling normals feels a little bit easier on here than it is on stick for me personally. Another thing you don't have to worry about on the hitbox that you might have to worry about if you're playing on like an octo gate or you're playing on a circle gate, a Korean lever, is trying to hit the corners, right? Or like not the corners, but the, you know, extensions of the gate to know if you're blocking. That is a problem for me when I played Street Fighter V on the Crown 309, which is a Korean lever. It has like a circle gate, or I guess no gate, you would say. And trying to hit the corners is kind of hard. Like I would be holding down back like this, or what I thought was down back and what the game read as down back. But I just wouldn't be blocking. Like I'd just be crouching because I didn't have the back input. And it's really frustrating to get hit like that because you didn't yank the lever down back far enough. That isn't really a problem as much on the square gates because you can feel the square, but in the circle ones or in the octa ones, it's a little bit of a problem for me when I was playing on stick. Also, if you're a Tekken player watching this, you will have a lot easier time like doing the Korean backdash because you don't have to like hit certain parts of the gate or like move your hand in that weird, it's not a weird motion, but it feels a little unnatural when you're trying to learn it. For this, you can just do like back, down, back, and just cancel like that, and it makes it a little bit easier. Also, wave dashing is easier on the hitbox too. If you're a Tekken player watching this, the hitbox I think does make that game execution-wise a lot easier. I say it makes it a lot easier if you're not used to already playing on stick. If you're not used to playing on stick or you're just picking up the game, I would recommend trying out like a pad or trying out the hitbox or like the mixbox or something. Just because I think there's so much muscle memory that's gone into people who learn Tekken in the arcades and stuff playing on a lever that it would take you forever to build up, right? So I think that these kind of devices make things a little bit easier and also still pretty fun. One more thing I don't want to forget while I'm thinking about it is you'll see here on the top, let me move it over a little bit. You'll see there's only 4 buttons, right? So a lot of games like Street Fighter V, to reset the training mode, you need like L3, I think is the shortcut. And none of these are mapped to L3 by default. You could open this backplate up and the PCB I think is somewhere right here or on the other side. and you can unscrew it and mess with it. If you build your own, though, if you build a brick board, you can run the wire from the brick UFB and just run it out the top of your case. That's what I did when I built a stick a long time ago that I no longer have. But I did keep the brick board. I do suggest if you want to build your own hitbox, it is pretty inexpensive compared to the competition, right? Like this hitbox is the first one that I had, and it was like $225, I think, after shipping and taxes and all that. So if you build one, you'll probably reach somewhere near that number, but it's way more like future proof, right? Especially if you put the brick board in it, the UFB, the Ultimate Fight Board, you can mess with it and tinker with it as much as you want, and you know the ins and outs of it, right? And it's not very hard to build if you follow a guide, or you have some semblance of how electronics work and how to read the little UFB. You can also buy a kit, I think it's on Focus Attack, that comes with the UFB, and it has like a 20-pin harness, and that 20-pin harness essentially does all the hard work for you. You just plug in the harness, and then it comes with a wiring diagram, and you just plug the colors together, right, to get your punches and your kicks and all the right stuff in the right place. That's the alternative to just running all the wires individually yourself. And while we're at it, let me go ahead and show off this one here. If you have not seen this, this is the Snackbox Micro, and as you can tell, it is a lot smaller than the normal Hitbox arcade controller. It basically takes this part and just cuts it out and puts it on a slab here, a little 3D printed slab, I think. And it has mechanical switches. These are gamer finger buttons, by the way, which I didn't talk about. These are also mechanical switches. And the good thing about these is that if something goes wrong internally, you can just pop this red piece off, and underneath is a Cherry MX switch. And you can just pop another Cherry MX switch or whatever keyboard switch you want. You can just pop it in under these. Unfortunately, these aren't being sold, I don't think, on Focus Attack anymore, just because the supplier is out of the country and they are like hard to deal with, I guess. That was the reasoning. They couldn't get a hold of them anymore. So if you can find these from somebody that you know, or some other website that's selling them, or maybe Focus Attack is selling them again, I definitely suggest them. The best thing about this hitbox and this hitbox is that these are 24mm buttons. So these are more readily available than 30 mils, right? 30 mils are usually what you see in the other sticks and normal sticks. These are 24, just so I think it's for ergonomics and because it fits your finger a lot better. Which means that you're pretty much in luck, right? Because these buttons are usually used for the little menu buttons on the top here on normal sticks, but on the hitbox it's used for all the buttons except for jump. This is a 30 mil button, which I forgot to order when I ordered all of these, but luckily they sent me a single one within like 2 weeks. I got very lucky, and I have the whole set now. This is also mechanical switches. Like I said, these are 24 mils. This one is a 30, but I think these are some other brand. These aren't Cherry switches, and I think you can still swap them out, though. That's the good thing with these, is I think you can also swap them out for anything that's not a Cherry MX switch as well. As long as it's a keyboard switch and it fits, I think it'll work. If not, please correct me in the comments below. Another concern you might have is that these buttons are a little too close. Maybe you have big hands. Or you do like the 30 mils, you want all 30 mils. There is a layout, I think it's called the Shoken Star layout or something, where these directional buttons are shifted this way. They're like all the way over here, and then you can sort of play a little more spaced out. And that's for people who have bigger hands, and I think also that layout allows for 30 mils, right? Because of how close these are, they're 24, but if you space them out enough, you could have like 30s. And one more thing about the mechanical switches I wanted to touch on that I just remembered is a lot of people want silent buttons, but they don't want how they feel, right? I've tried the Sanwa silent buttons where you basically, on those, you just pop this little thing out. You pop the plunger out, and then you put this weird, like, soft felt washer in there, and it goes around the plastic, and it basically makes it silent, right? It's supposed to make it silent. There's still a tiny bit of noise, which you can't really get rid of. But the way it feels is just terrible to me. Like, it feels like you're pressing the button and it's not going down all the way, which it isn't, because there is a plunger in there, or there is a washer in there now. But it goes down so little that it feels like it's not actuating. Like, it feels like you're not pressing the button at all. And it just is, I don't know, it just feels really bad. That's why I suggest getting mechanical switches over putting those little silent washers in your Sanwa buttons, because it completely changes how the button feels anyways. So you might as well pick up the mechanical ones, because they are fairly silent, right? These are very quiet, and these are a little louder, but it's just because it's plastic on plastic, right? There's no buffer there. This one I think has like a little bit of a space in between the plastic, so you don't hear it slapping. And if you do want to try out mechanical switches and you can't find these gamer finger ones, sorry, you can check out the Crown ones. I think Crown makes a mechanical switch now, and they have like the plastic top just like the Sanwas. They just aren't as loud, and they are mechanical underneath. And one more important thing before I forget, if you get this Hitbox arcade controller, this plexi here is painted white on the other side. So I thought it was like a piece of paper. So when I took this off, you'll see it has like scratch marks here. I took this off to take the paper off, and then I turned it over, and I thought it was just stuck on there with like glue. So I tried to scrape it to like get the glue off, and it's paint. It's just painted white. So there's scratches here. And I had to order a new plexi to customize it. When it was customized, it had like I had a plexi, then I had art underneath, and then I got these little black pins you can see here too. So if you do want to customize this, you have to order a blank plexi with the art that you order as well. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing, and if you would like to see more about Hitbox and the various controllers that I have, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions about the Hitbox or any of these products that I showed today, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try and help you out.